Welcome to another episode Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your fearful host, Dom, and in this episode, we take a look at the 2025 American supernatural horror film directed by Scott Derrickson, who co-wrote it with C. Robert Cargill, Black Phone 2. Now, before I start off, I want to say, hey everybody, welcome back. I was on a little bit of a hiatus for January. That's going to be kind of a thing every year. I did it last year. I think I did it the year before too. I don't really remember, but January kind of helps me reset, especially because there's not a lot that comes out during that time. So it gives me a chance to kind of catch up on some things and probably go over some stuff that I skipped over from the previous year, just like the Black Phone 2. I didn't get a chance to talk about it. So now we're going to get right into it. The Grabber seeks revenge on Finn from beyond the grave by menacing Finn's younger sister, Gwen. As Finn, now 17, struggles with life after his captivity, the headstrong 15-year-old Gwen begins receiving calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and seeing disturbing visions of 3 boys being stalked at a winter camp known as Alpine Lake. Determined to solve the mystery and end the torment for both her and her brother, Gwen persuades Finn to visit the camp during a winter storm. There, she uncovers a shattering intersection between the Grabber and her own family's history. Together, she and Finn must confront a killer who's grown more powerful in death and more significant to them than either could imagine. Let's stake out this camp and interpret our dream. Following the release of The Black Phone, director Scott Derrickson revealed in June 2022 that author Joe Hill, while initially protective of the source material from his 20th Century Ghost collection, had pitched a wonderful idea for a potential sequel. Derrickson expressed his openness to returning to the project, contingent on the first film's success, which by August of that year, both Derrickson and Hill confirmed that active discussions with the studio were underway, with Derrickson citing the box office performance as the original as a key factor in moving the sequel forward, because it was a pretty big hit. What? Oh man, was that? Oh yeah, 2022 when it came out. Dang, was it? Man, it feels like, for some reason it feels like a long time ago, but it kind of is, but it's also not. I don't know, whatever. Hill noted that his own inspiration for the story stemmed from the powerful and iconic imagery of the Grabber's haunting mask, which is just unique to the films. Does not stem from the short story The Black Phone in his short story collection 20th Century Ghost. Casting news emerged in November 2023, with reports confirming that Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, and Jeremy Davies would all reprise their roles from the first film. It was also announced that Miguel, I might butcher this, Cazares Mora would return, though in a new, different role. The screenplay was penned by Scott Derrickson and his longtime collaborator, C. Robert Cargill, with both also serving as producers. The following month, Derrickson was officially confirmed to return as director. The cast expanded in September 2024 with the addition of Demian Bichar, operating under the working title Mysterium. Principal photography commenced on November 4th, 2024. with locations in Toronto and Hamilton, and was scheduled to wrap on January 15th, 2025. Cinematographer Par M. Ekberg was attached to the project. In December 2024, actress Ariana Rivas joined the ensemble. Filming ultimately concluded on January 23rd, 2025. And one note to add here, the musical score for the sequel was composed by Atticus Derrickson, marking a collaboration with the director's son, which I'm pretty sure he's also in the short he did, that Derrickson did for VHS, is it 85? I'm pretty sure it's that one. Yeah, because it wouldn't be the other the other ones. Which is a very great short segment in VHS for anyone who hasn't watched it. Honestly, I'd say go watch it because it really is unique. It's connected to this, and we'll talk about that later. But it's really good. I highly recommend going back and checking that out. I mean, that VHS is a pretty solid one. Yeah, you won't be disappointed.
A bad dream.
Hello, Finney. Did you think our story was over? You're dead. You, of all people, know that dead is just a word. He's here. Vengeance is mine.
4 years after Finney Blake killed the abductor, known as the Grabber, his younger sister Gwen begins to experience terrifying clairvoyant dreams. They are all continued to be played by Mason Thames, Ethan Hawke, and Madeline McGraw, respectively. These visions she gets transport her to Alpine Lake Camp in 1957, where she witnesses a series of brutal murders. One in particularly intense dream, she even receives a telephone call from her own late mother, Hope, played by Anna Lohr, who suffered from identical prophetic nightmares during the original 1957 killing. Compelled by these visions, Gwen persuades her brother Finney and Ernesto, played by Miguel Mora, the brother of Robin Arellano, one of the Grabber's victims, to travel with her to the now abandoned Alpine Lake Camp. The sudden and severe blizzard traps them there with the camp supervisor, Armando, his niece, Mustang, and two employees, Kenneth and Barbara. The four are played by Damien Bichar, Ariana Rivas, Graham Abbey, and Maeve Betty, respectively. Isolated by the storm, the three teenagers begin to investigate the dark history hinted at by Gwen's dreams. On their second night, the dormant camp payphone rings. Finney answers it and is horrified to hear the voice of the grabber, speaking from beyond the grave. The vengeful spirit blames Finney for causing the death of his brother and for ending his own life, swearing retaliation. Simultaneously, Gwen is violently assaulted by the grabber within her dream. Finney, Ernesto, and Mustang manage to wake and save her just in time. The shaking group convenes in the camp's chapel, where Armando explains that they must find the physical remains of the grabber's victims from 1957 to weaken his supernatural hold over the dream world. Through their investigation, they deduce the bodies are hidden beneath the frozen surface of Lake Maru. As they delve deeper, they uncover a hidden past. Armando, Hope, and the grabber all knew each other as teenagers at this very camp. That night, the grabber invades Gwen's dream once more, cruelly revealing that he murdered Hope and staged her death to look like a suicide. He then launches a vicious psychic attack on Gwen, with the injuries she sustains in the dream appearing as real wounds on her body. She manages to gather her own psychic strength to fight back before being awakened by Finney and Ernesto. Elsewhere, Armando searches alone for the lost boys' bodies. The next day, their father, Terrence, still played by Jeremy Davies, miraculously arrives at the snowbound camp with a borrowed snowplow. A confrontation ensues where Gwen challenges both Terrence and Finney about using alcohol and drugs to numb the trauma of their past. United by a newfound resolve, they decide to stay and confront the grabber to finally lay the murdered boys to rest. Later, joined by Kenneth and Barbara, the group ventures out onto the frozen lake to recover the bodies. In a moment of desperation, Gwen prays for divine strength to survive and complete her mission. As they search, she falls into another dream where the grabber attacks her again, while also manifesting into the physical world to assault Finney, Terrence, and the others. During this dual struggle, Gwen psychically locates the submerged bodies. Their discovery instantly severs the grabber's power. Finney, Gwen, and the avenging spirits of the murdered boys turn on the grabber, who is ultimately dragged down beneath the ice into oblivion. The following morning, as Gwen, Finney, and Ernesto prepare to depart, the camp payphone rings once more. Gwen answers it and hears the voice of her mother, Hope, who expresses her pride before the connection fades for good. Now let us move on to some trivia about the film Black Phone 2 and learn some things about the behind the scenes, the production, and the actors. There were no digital tricks used for the dream sequences. They were put together using Super 8 proper for the scenes without sound, and Super 16 for the moments that featured dialogue, which were then cut in half to be 8mm, which is fucking crazy. That they did this. The moments shot on Super 16mm were framed with half the image and then expanded for even more of that grainy, old school film look that is just like, it's classic filmmaking. It's oh god, like I love the aesthetic that they bring with the dreams. And here I'm gonna bring back the VHS because he does something similar with that, where the dreams in that segment are shot on, like, it has to be Super 8 also, or Super 16, one of them, because it just has that quality too, and I love it. I love the way it looks. It's just like, god damn it, it's like film. It's film. I know it's transferred over to digital, obviously, but god, it looks so good. It looks so unique. I love it so much. It's crazy. But yeah, I love that they went out of their way to specifically get that look for the dreams, and I applaud them. I love that they went out of their way to do this, because I mean it's not easy to do this with I mean, even back with film, it wasn't easy to get it all like, you know, you know, not transferred, but processed and everything. And then just to, I mean, to do that now is even more difficult. Well, I mean, I guess not on like a Hollywood set like this, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not super easy. They have to have the machines to do that and then to transfer it over and crazy. Uh, I really applaud them for this, and it makes it that much better. Of like a practical that they're using that. It adds to the film, which just gives it that much more, in my opinion, for production design and just overall aesthetic. The grabber quotes Dante's Inferno, specifically Canto 3. The words engraved on the entrance to hell are, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." Also, Dante's depiction of the ninth and final circle of hell is a frozen lake, Canto 31. Finn tells the grabber, "Hell isn't flames, it's ice." And I like that idea of, the first one, it was like, I think it was moving towards like summertime, right? Like I think they just got out of school, and it doesn't. I mean, I think that I think at one point it rains, but it's not like it doesn't have like a specific feel. I like that they went with like, ooh, let's move into like it's something different for, especially for like a horror film, to move it to like somewhere icy, something different. Give us a new kind of setting. It's not just the same thing. Because this easily could have just been a rehash of the first film, but I like that they chose to do something a little bit different, and I'll talk about that in my final thoughts. But yeah, like it really kind of goes to that idea of, like that the last circle of hell is a frozen lake, and the parallels of that and the themes of that. But it's just, I thought that was kind of cool to think about that. Director Scott Derrickson's son, Dashell Derrickson, appears in an uncredited cameo in a music video playing on the television as Gunther, the same character the younger Derrickson played in the Dream Kill short film in VHS 85. In the short film, set in a shared continuity with the Black Phone films, it is revealed that Gunther is first cousins with Gwen and Finney, and he shares similar psychic powers to Gwen. Gunther's psychic power is that he dreams of murders before they happen, and his dreams record onto VHS tapes, which is kind of crazy. And I got that wrong. I'm correcting myself now. I didn't know that his other son. I guess he has multiple sons. I didn't know that. Atticus is the one who helped to compose the score, and Dashell Derrickson is the one who acted in that short film for VHS 85. And like I said, I highly recommend it. It's a really good segment, and I love that it ties in, and they do a lot of like similar things. It's very like the way I love the voyeuristic look of like the kills. It's very disturbing, and it's very like, oh god, it's really well done. The facial like mouth expression on the grabber's mask changes depending on his attitude. A big smile when he's hurting someone, a frown when Gwen realizes he has power over him in her dream. And I mean, we do see in the first film that he's able to like switch out the bottom part of the mask to give it like either like a blank or give it like a big smile or whatever he wants for that bottom part, which is kind of crazy. And I like that they keep that in the way that like it just kind of changes depending on his attitude. And I like that the continuity of like, you know yeah, in like the dreams it would just be able to change whenever he needs it to change. And I really like that. I mean, the mask itself is a clever design, and it's very unique, and I like the way that they went with it, especially because it just gives us a new, unique, serial killer or slasher or whatever you want to call them in like line of like Freddy and Jason and Michael and all of them. And I think the grabber really holds up. I think having him, I think this we'll get into my final thoughts. But I think I wouldn't put him like up there with them, but he is one to contest with nowadays, like with like art and trying to think of some other newer villain. Megan? No, I'm just joking. But if you know what I mean, like those kinds of slasher guys that are popular from like the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then I guess until now. But with that, we'll move on to my final thoughts on the Black Phone 2. So the Black Phone was done pretty well. I think it was a really good like one-off film, and I really didn't see where you could go with it by killing off the grabber. And it was just like it's not like he kept him and then like it ends with him like keeping him somewhere, right? Or like it's kind of like Saw where they didn't, like where it builds its mythology by keeping people in places and stuff, and we're expanding the story by learning, oh, they're actually not there. It was a different time, whatever, right? So I thought, if they're gonna go anywhere, maybe back to prior, but how are you gonna bring the kids back, right? So that's another like Saw thing that I was like, I hope they don't do that, because I mean, if they did like a prequel, like what would they would just be showing us like the couple kids he kidnapped right before and killed, and we're also not told what he does specifically to them. That he just keeps them down there and then he kills them, but like we're never really told if like he does anything to them. Really, at least that's what I got from the film. But anyways, first one, solid film. I I really liked it. I think Scott Derrickson did a great job directing. They all do a great job acting. I think Madeline McGraw is a really good actress. She's the standout of the first film, and even this film. I think she holds her own against everybody too. Even though they both have, or they all the younger ones have who come back have aged a little bit more. I think it works really well, and I think aging them up and not trying to be like, oh, they're like it's the same age or whatever. Like some things try to do where like it's like they've clearly grown up since the last film. So but between filming it wasn't too many years, so it works still works. I think having Finney, I think he is out of high school or whatever. She's still whatever, but building the story on her getting these dreams from like the mom and okay, they do kind of go back to the past, but it's more about like the power of like that the grabber killed these people, these kids prior to, that gives him power to come back, and that the mom's powers were enough to send her dreams or her psychic powers forward into the future, and like her able to connect to that back to the past, which is kind of interesting too. It's kind of like a time travel thingy, but like psychically, which is kind of different and unique, and I really like. But just getting into like this new kind of story, I love it. It's a fresh new idea. I mean, it is a little Nightmare on Elm Street ish, but you know what? This is where I thought it could go. Honestly, I was like, well, if you bring him back as like a vengeful ghost, you could keep going with it. I do like that it does feel like this is meant to be a way to cap off from the first one and kind of put things to rest. Like he's not. Hopefully, it's not coming back. But studios, they love to like anytime they can, they'll turn it into a franchise. Just like Insidious, where you killed off Elise in the first one. How are you going to bring her back for the second one? And they were able to do it a little bit, and then like how do you keep going from that? Oh yeah, you just got to keep making prequels because you killed off the one character that you're like we're supposed to care about or whatever. But anyways, that's what happened with Saw too. But anyways, I like that they brought him back. Finney, dealing with his own struggles now too, like with addiction, just like his dad was doing to cover up for like, and it's not to forgive the, especially because of the dad. The dad was a fucking asshole in the first one, and you see he's getting right. He's staying on it too, which hey, give him credit where credit is due for that. And then, but now Finney's dealing with being like getting high and stuff. He's got to toke it up. Anyways, I do I love the look of the dreams, the way that they shot it on film, on Super 8 and Super 16. It gives such a jarring like this effect, and it's crazy and it's amazing at the same time, and I love it. And Madeline McGraw again gives an amazing performance. I think she's the standout again for this film. She's just a really good, like great. She's a really great actress, but she has like this really great like aura for that character that she brings. I don't know. But Ethan Hawke again, he's just sinister as the grabber. Maybe Ethan Hawke's always meant to be like a sinister villain this whole time, and now he's finally get to be it and do it. We do get a small cameo from James Rincon, which unfortunately this is his last film, and he passed away. Well, he committed suicide, and hopefully anybody out there, I'll touch on it again, struggling with any type of mental or any kind of like thoughts where maybe you should seek just talk to somebody. There's somebody out there who is willing to listen to you and just lend you the time and place to be like, hey, maybe I need some help. Don't let it fester. Don't let it sit. I've seen too many people where that just beats away at them, and it really hurts a lot for the people who have to live after they do something bad to themselves. But getting back to the fictional story of some random supernatural killer. The setting, I love the setting. I think it's really well done. It really puts them more isolated than the first film, because first one they were just kind of in like suburbia. Now they're in very isolated place. There's only so many people there. There's a storm. The snowstorm is very Shining-esque too, with the dad trying to get to them. And I just love this. I think it's a really good sequel. I think it's a solid sequel for a horror film that was just like, yeah, this was a solid horror film. Did it need a sequel? Not necessarily, but the fact that we got a sequel is like, one, not just crazy, but it's also like, you know what? I didn't ask for it, and you told me that you were gonna do it. But then, and at first I was like, we don't need this. Why do we need this? But then I watched it, and I was like, and even seeing the trailers, I was like, huh, I don't know if this is going to work. This might not work. But it ended up, shattering my expectations, because, I thought, how are they going to do this? Like I kept saying, like, how, I just don't understand how you're going to do it when you killed off. And then you show us how they did it. And the good thing is that Joe Hill came back, to pitch like his idea of how it would be, right? And then Scott Derrickson with his writing partner, they got back together and they tackled this, and I think it works pretty well. I give it 3.5 stars. I mean, it's not anything spectacular, but I will say if you like the Black Phone, watch this one. I highly recommend it. It's out now on, I think, Peacock or something, probably, where you can watch it. Go watch it. Honestly, like, go watch it right now if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, then I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, it just does what a sequel needs to do. And hopefully this is the end. They don't try and bring him back with some... They kind of put to rest, like, how he could come back. I just hope they don't try and do something where it's like... I actually do have an idea for a sequel that I think could work. But... I think that if they did a sequel, it would have to be, and from what I'm thinking, it would have to be like, oh, there were these other kids that he killed, and at that point it's just like, okay, well then are we just gonna keep saying every time that there's some other kids that he killed so he can come back? Because like that's how he comes back, is like not all the bodies have been put to rest that he it's like you can't just keep. Because then how did he get defeated this time if there's more bodies? Right? Like, you can't... Then he... What? But there might be a way to do a third one, but I don't know if I want to give anybody any ideas. It would be like, you skip ahead, like, 10 years, 20... Or, not 20. I wouldn't do 20 years. 10, 15 years into the future. And that's where you would see, like, an older character from this one, and them dealing with like kind of like a possession kind of thing. So it would be a little bit different. It would be a unique take. But I really hope that they just leave it at these two. It doesn't really need to be 3, 4, 5, 10 movies long, where now when we get to the 10th film, it's like Freddy's dead or Jason Goes to Hell or something, and we have the Grabber versus Megan, and then who shows up? It's Art the Clown, and they're all fighting each other, which honestly though might be a pretty fun film to watch, of like these 3 more recent slashers come together, and they're just like, Art the Clown's like, honk, 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 and the Grabber's like, what the fuck? The clown, and what is this, Megan? And then she's like, oh yeah, it's me, Megan 3.0. And she just like backflips. so fucking anyways, yeah, solid film. Highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't seen it. But it is good. It's really good. What did you think of The Grabber? Do you think The Black Phone needed a sequel? Did you think it worked? Obviously, I was shocked and amazed. We want to thank you all for listening, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any personal or fictional, paranormal, supernatural, or unexplainable stories? We love to read them on the podcast. Please send your stories, recommendations, or anything else to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to show more support, you can follow our socials on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, or check out our YouTube channel, all at Horrorbox Podcast on all sites. Also, you can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It really helps out. Until next time, make sure everything in your past is buried. This is Dom, signing off from the Horror Box.
What do you want?
It took me a long time, but now I remember.
You're dead.
Oh, Vinny. You of all people know that dead is just a word.
Tell me why you're here.